Imagine a landscape, vast and rolling prairies stretching as far as the eye can see. Suddenly, from the flat earth, something impossible rises. It's a colossal stone pillar, ribbed and scarred, reaching 867 feet straight into the Wyoming sky. It looks like it belongs on another planet. This is Devil's Tower. In 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt declared it America's very first national monument, a place so unique it demanded protection. It looms 1,267 feet above the Belle Fourche River, a silent giant dominating the horizon. For centuries, people have stared up at its flat top and fluted sides, asking the same questions. Is it the core of an ancient volcano? The petrified stump of a colossal world-covering tree? Or is it something far more sacred, a place where the earthly and the divine meet? The truth is a story woven from geology, legend, and even a bit of Hollywood magic. To unravel this mystery, we need to travel back in time, about 50 million years. Deep beneath the surface, a blob of molten rock or magma was pushing its way upward. But unlike a volcano, it never broke through to the surface. This is what geologists call an igneous intrusion. The magma forced its way between layers of softer, sedimentary rock like sandstone and shale, and then stopped, trapped just below the ground. There, it began to cool. As this massive body of magma cooled, it began to shrink, and as it shrank, it fractured. But it didn't just crack randomly, it split into near-perfect geometric columns, mostly hexagonal in shape. This process is called columnar jointing, and the columns at Devil's Tower are some of the largest and most perfect examples on Earth. For millions of years, this incredible structure remained hidden underground, but wind and water are relentless forces. Slowly, over eons, the softer rock layers surrounding the hard igneous core were eroded away. The shale and sandstone washed downstream, grain by grain, until only the resistant heart of the intrusion was left standing, exposed to the elements. What remained is the tower we see today, a testament to the slow, powerful artistry of erosion. And the rock itself is special. It's a type called phonolite porphyry, a rare volcanic rock that, when struck, supposedly produces a musical, ringing sound. Long before geologists had a name for it, the people who lived on this land already knew its power. To over 20 indigenous tribes, including the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Kiowa, this is not Devil's Tower. It's a sacred place known by names like Mato Tipala, which translates to Bear Lodge or Bear's Teepee. Its story isn't one of geology, but of creation, survival, and spiritual connection. The most famous legend, told in various forms across different tribes, speaks of a group of children playing in the woods. Suddenly, they were spotted and chased by a colossal, terrifying bear. They ran for their lives, but the bear was gaining on them. In their desperation, they prayed to the Great Spirit for help. Hearing their prayers, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble and rise, lifting them higher and higher into the sky, just out of the bear's reach. The furious bear clawed and scraped at the sides of the rising rock, trying to climb up to get the children. Its massive claws left deep vertical gashes in the stone, the very columns we see today. The children were saved, and some say they became the stars of the Pleiades constellation. To this day, the tower is a place of profound spiritual importance. It's a site for sun dances, vision quests, and personal prayer. As you walk the trail around its base, you'll see colorful bundles of cloth tied to the trees. These are prayer cloths, offerings left by individuals as part of their ceremonies. They are sacred, and visitors are asked to observe them with respect and to never, ever touch them. So, if its sacred name is Bear Lodge, how did it become known as Devil's Tower? The answer lies in a misunderstanding from 1875. An expedition led by U.S. Army Colonel Richard Irving Dodge was surveying the area. According to the story, his translator misinterpreted the indigenous name, confusing the word for bear with bad god or evil spirit. The name Bad God's Tower was recorded in the expedition's notes, which was quickly shortened to the more sensational Devil's Tower. The name stuck, and it was made official when the monument was established. For decades, there have been ongoing efforts by indigenous groups and their allies to officially change the name back to Bear Lodge, to honor its original cultural significance. However, these efforts have faced political resistance, with arguments centered on local tourism and branding. And here, as a little piece of trivia for you, have you ever noticed their S no apostrophe? It's Devil's Tower, not Devil's Tower. That's because the U.S. Board on Geographic Names, the body that standardizes place names, decided back in 1890 to drop apostrophes from almost all official names to avoid implying possession and to simplify maps. The sheer vertical walls of the tower have long been a challenge beckoning to be conquered. While indigenous people had their own ways of reaching the top for spiritual purposes, the first documented non-native ascent was a spectacle of 19th century ingenuity. In 1893, two local ranchers, William Rogers and Willard Ripley, decided they were going to climb it. Over several months, they painstakingly constructed a 350-foot wooden ladder. They drove wooden pegs into a crack system running up the side of the tower, connecting them with planks of wood. Their plan was to make the first ascent a public event on the 4th of July. On that day, a crowd of nearly 3,000 people gathered at the base, many traveling for days to watch. They cheered as Rogers and Ripley scaled their rickety ladder to the summit, becoming local heroes. But perhaps the most bizarre story in the tower's climbing history belongs to George Hopkins. In 1941, Hopkins, a professional stunt parachutist, made a bet he could land on the tower's 1-acre summit. He succeeded, landing perfectly. The problem? He had no way down. The ropes he dropped for his descent had become a tangled mess on the rocks below. He was stranded. For 6 days, Hopkins was stuck on top, becoming a national news story as rescue plans were frantically made. He was finally brought down by an expert mountain rescue team. Today, climbing is a popular activity, but there's a crucial understanding. In June, the tower is a site for significant indigenous ceremonies. To show respect, there's a voluntary climbing closure for the entire month, and the vast majority of climbers honor this request, leaving the tower in peace for its spiritual guardians. For much of its history as a monument, Devil's Tower was a relatively quiet, remote destination. Then, in 1977, Hollywood came calling. Director Steven Spielberg chose the tower as the dramatic, otherworldly centerpiece for his science fiction masterpiece, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In the film, characters are mysteriously drawn to the tower's unique shape, which ultimately becomes the landing site for a peaceful alien mothership. The movie was a blockbuster, and it seared the image of Devil's Tower into the global consciousness. Suddenly, this Wyoming landmark was an international icon. The film transformed it from a geological wonder into a symbol of cosmic mystery and benevolent alien contact. Tourism exploded. People who had seen the movie flocked from all over the world, not just to see the rock, but to feel the magic they saw on screen. The film created a permanent connection between the tower and the idea of extraterrestrial life, turning it into a pilgrimage site for UFO enthusiasts and cementing its place in pop culture history forever. So, what is Devil's Tower? It's not just one thing. It is an exposed igneous intrusion, a geological marvel sculpted by time. It is Mato Tipila, a sacred altar where the claw marks of a great bear tell a story of salvation. It's a pop culture icon that taught us to look to the stars. The tower is a living thing. It's still subject to the forces of erosion. Every now and then, one of its massive columns breaks free and comes crashing down, adding to the vast boulder field that surrounds its base. A reminder that even stone is not permanent. Today, the National Park Service performs a delicate balancing act, managing the site for the thousands of tourists who come to gaze in wonder, for the climbers who seek to test their limits against its sheer walls, and for the indigenous people who come to pray at its base, continuing traditions that are far older than the name America. In the end, Devil's Tower isn't just a rock. It's a bridge between science and spirituality, a connection between our world and the mysteries that lie beyond. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more adventures into the world's most fascinating places.